for being here. I know it's quite late in the day and probably have like a long day, so just the thing of you kind of taking some time to listen to me, it's quite an honor and a privilege. So this talk here was, this was born like last year or so, and I had the idea of creating this, and it was mainly because I really think that the way that Agile is evolving nowadays is fundamentally wrong. And then I kind of created this talk about Agile being dead, and we'll see why. This is my second time at Agile Connect. Okay, so the first time I was in Aveiro, I was on the first meetup, and this talk I gave it on Agile Scrum last year in November, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was that month, and I was in London this year too, giving this presentation. It has actually quite a good acceptance, so hopefully you'll enjoy it. I need to turn this thing on, and hopefully, yeah, cool. So just like David said, my name is Pedro Torres. Some of you already know me. I'm a Talkdesk right now, so I'm an engineering director. And I'm also very proud of being Agilist since 2010. So it's been 8 years now that I began with this online kind of journey throughout Agile, Scrum, and all the things. You can find me online, okay? So although I don't tweet that much, I have in my Twitter. I'll upload this presentation on SlideShare, okay? So for you to grab later on if you're interested in. I have a blog that I don't write that much, but actually I write in Portuguese because since we have like tons of content in English, I really believe that we like some Portuguese content, and if you want, just drop me an email to talk about this talk or anything else. More than happy to talk to you. On this slide here, so I actually been in a couple of companies, okay, so this is pretty much like my career path since 2002, if I'm not mistaken, so it's been like 16 years now. I'm on my 10th company, so I'm a little bit kind of a job hopper, but although I think it was very positive because I worked in very traditional companies, in big corporates. I worked in Porto, in Lisbon. I had the opportunity to work in London too at Sky, which was a very interesting experience. I've worked with Farfetch, that's quite well known today. Lived in Porto, biggest private company in Portugal, Sonai. And right now, so people are kind of handling me at Talkdesk. So besides this, one thing that I'm really passionate about is what I'm doing right now. Okay, so although I'm completely amateur, no training whatsoever. Actually, this idea of starting to speak in public was something that was born in like 2013, so 5 years now. And it all began in Porto in Oopsla, somewhere right on the left, where I kind of gave my first presentation around Scrum. And after that, I just kind of went on a frenzy, signing up for all the conferences that I could attend. So I had the opportunity to go to Brazil, to Spain. Here talked in Portugal, like Agile Portugal, Agile Scrum, just like I told you, Agile to London, Agile Next London. So I'm actually very proud of going to London to speak. It's almost like going to the Champions League. So it's always interesting to go to a different country where they have like people that actually understand this quite a lot. And yeah, some private companies, universities, all of that. So it's something that I really enjoy doing this. So yes, so let's jump into the content. So believe it or not, Agile and Scrum were invented a long time ago. Okay? So it definitely is becoming very, very popular. So I have like tons of articles, tons of news all about Agile, about Scrum, but it was actually invented a long, long time ago. So just so you to have an idea, I brought here two different moments that occurred here in Portugal. Okay, I don't know. Can anyone see or try to guess what's happening on the left?
Is the one in Portugal?
Yes, absolutely. What year was that?
Maybe 2001.
Exactly, 2001. Very well. And on the right, we have a gentleman singing. Does anybody know who the gentleman is? I didn't know also. That must be fair. So this fine gentleman, his name is Talkdesk. Okay? And he's actually singing on the Euro Festival da Canção. So it's like the Eurovision contest that actually occurred this year here in Portugal. And so this gentleman was singing a song called Baunilha e Chocolate. So in English is Vanilla and Chocolate. And it was such a terrible song that he almost finished in last. And he sang that stuff in 2095. Okay? So guess what? In 2001, when both Vision was actually celebrating their first conquer of the Premier League here in Portugal, the Agile Manifesto was being signed, okay, somewhere in Utah, by 17 people, if I'm not mistaken. And yes, and our very own Tom Cruise, although he was embarrassing the nation with his song, Scrum was being presented by Ken Schwaber and Jeff Sutherland in Austin, Texas, in Oopsla conference. Okay, so actually, as you can see, so Scrum has more than 20 years now. Okay, and even Agile has at least 17 years. So it's definitely not a trend. It's not something completely new. So this has been here for quite a while, and so far, at least in my opinion, it's been working quite well. So yeah, although we still have like tons of companies talking about this like something that is really cool, very new, or people just kind of listening to those certified Scrum Masters and all of that. So this has been here for quite a while. Okay, so definitely it's not something that is kind of novelty for us. So okay, so what is Agile about? I really like this sentence that I wrote here, because I think it's very elegant, simple, and actually describes exactly what I believe Agile is. So it's the ability to deliver early value to your customers. Okay, so that's like the best definition that I found for Agile. And I have here a screenshot of the manifesto. Actually, if you go online, you'll find the manifesto on this webpage. It looks like almost like GeoCities kind of thing, you know, very old web. And yes, and as you can see at the very beginning, so like the page is quite long because it has values and principles and all that. And what became really famous was those 4 values that we see over there, right in the middle. Right? So individual interactions over processes and tools, working software over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, and finally responding to change over following plan. And these values became so famous and they were just kind of grabbed out of the manifesto that a couple of misconceptions of the myth were born, right? Like for instance, in Agile there is no documentation. It was born out of these values being misplaced, okay? So, you know, we as a community, we said, okay, but hey guys, we really need to look a little bit down and see that there is, while there is value on the items on the right, we value the items on the left more. So we as a community said, no, look, we really need to look a little bit further on the Agile Manifesto. And today, I'm here to say to you that, okay, so we focus enough on the center, we focus enough on the bottom, and I think that definitely we as a community, we need to focus on the top. And the top says, we are uncovering better ways of developing software by doing and helping others do it. So this is the very core and essence of Agile. It's all about developing software and helping doing it in a better way. Okay, and people usually tend to forget this. And what about Scrum? So Scrum is very simple to understand, really hard to master. It's a framework based on imperative, okay? So it favors transparency, inspection, and adaptation. Usually you have a backlog ordered by priority. You have a sprint backlog every sprint, and that's pretty much an iteration of 1 to 4 weeks. And hopefully, if the gods of software are merciful, you're going to have released software by the end of that iteration, okay? Which usually is not the case, or sometimes not the case, but that's for a different talk. So we saw what Agile is, we saw what Scrum is, how all of this fits together, okay? So where does this fit? So everyone, this is the Agile onion, okay? And the Agile onion is pretty much tools and processes, practices, principles, values, and mindsets. And right there in the core, the tools and processes is where you're going to find Jira or daily stand-ups or something like that, okay? Practices, you have Scrum, you have extreme programming and other things. Then on the values and the principles, actually where the things are quite powerful, okay? So that's like our behavior, it's like in what we believe, okay? It's pretty much is part of the culture of the company, okay? And actually one man said quite a while ago that culture is what you do when no one's seeing, okay? So it's pretty much how we behave. And finally on the mindset, that's where the agility is, okay? Agile in the mindset, okay? Is the way of doing things. So I really like this image, although this image probably looks like more than 50% of the presentation, so this is quite a famous image. But I really like this image because to me it really represents what Agile is about. Okay, so what you really can see is the tools and the processes and the practices, and what you can't see, and that's where actually the powerful stuff is, the secret sauce, is the principles, the values, and the mindset. Okay, so no wonder that if you go to any company, yes, you can see Jira or any sort of software for tracking the issues, Yes, you're going to see people doing stand-ups and doing this and doing that, but obviously all about the values, the culture of the company, that's not something that you can see, okay? And actually that's why, for instance, when you have like that hype about the Spotify model and everybody tries to use that model and apply it to some company completely different, it simply doesn't work, right? Because we can't copy the culture of that company, so we just try to have the same sort of results without the same sort of conditions. So to me, this is like the perfect image of what an agile implementation is. Does anyone knows what this is? This is snowflakes, okay? And what's interesting about snow is that if you look to each one, they are completely unique, okay? So although on the DNA it's almost unique, although if you have a twin brother, it's the same. Here with snow, all of them are different. You don't have two snowflakes exactly the same, okay? So these are snowflake crystals. And that's, to me, it's what agile implementations are, okay? They are completely unique because again, it's all about the context, it's all about the people that are behaving in the system. There is no way you have two exact implementations. And that usually, when you try actually to force something, you fall into the cargo cult. Okay, so this is actually a very interesting story. So this happened during the Second World War on a Pacific island called Vanuatu, if I'm not mistaken. And what happened was, so the US Army decided to create a base on that island because of the war. And so obviously, when they created the base, you had like airplanes, you had goods, so the natives were completely amazed with the things that appeared out of nowhere, right? So they didn't know anything about, let's say, the United States and the stuff that they could have. And then obviously with the base and having the planes going, they had access to tons of stuff. But obviously everything comes to an end, so the war was over, and since we don't speak German, we won, right? And so the US Army just dismantled the base and left. And obviously the natives were like, what the hell? Where are our goods? Why is not stuff coming out of the skies? And they were completely amazed. So they had an idea. So, okay, so the Americans left, but the worries, because we saw a couple of airplanes, right? We saw some people marching with some wooden sticks or whatever on our shoulders. We saw some cool guys with some glasses. So we just need to replicate all of that, and the goods will appear. Okay, so it's just a matter of just doing exactly the same thing. So this is something that it's actually going to be observed. So they actually create pretty cool planes, so congrats to them. But guess what? No goods appeared, right? Because they didn't understand why the goods were appearing when the Americans were there. So Richard Feynman actually wrote this in a very, very easy way to understand. So he wrote, during the war, these airplanes land with lots of good materials, and they want the same thing to happen now. So they arrange to imitate things like runways, to put fires along the sides of the runways, to make a wooden hut for a man to sit in, with two wooden pieces on his head, like headphones, and bars of bamboo sticking out like antennas. He's the controller, and they wait for the airplanes to land. They're doing everything right, the form is perfect. It looks exactly the way it looked before, but it doesn't work. No airplanes land. Okay, so this is the cargo cult. So after all of this, I wonder, okay, so what is the exact adoption of Agile right now? Okay, so this is quite popular. Let's try to understand it a little better. And thankfully, we have a State of Agile report that's been sponsored by version 1. So every year, obviously, we have one. When I actually created this talk, it was on the 11th edition. And now we have the 12th. But actually, this is kind of updated. And I was actually very impressed. Okay, so 97% of the companies adopting Agile. Okay, wow. That's interesting. And even more interesting, if you look into the right, you see that companies have been adopting this for 3 or 5 or more years, and it's 65% of the companies. Okay, so everybody's an expert in Agile. Cool, interesting. And actually, when I started this talk, it was 94%. So we're even increasing. Okay, so 3% everyone from one year to the other. And to be entirely honest, I really doubt that, okay? So I seriously doubt that Agile is being adopted on this sort of percentage. And even so, if it was, I really question the quality of the Agile that we are talking about, okay? I mean, just mainly because, or you're lucky enough to be working in a startup where Agile has been there almost so from day one, and it's kind of built in on your DNA, okay? And probably, if you're working in a company like that, it looks more or less like this. Okay, so everybody's amazing, colors everywhere, unicorns, ponies, all of that sort of stuff. Everybody's happy. Or you're going through an agile transformation. Okay, and I've been in one quite big, and when I saw this image, it kind of resonated a lot with me. Okay, because pretty much I see myself on that boat with all my good agile intentions and trying to preach this to everyone. And I was just kind of overwhelmed by a tidal wave that was just kind of pushing me away with the resistance about, no, that doesn't work, we don't have any time to listen to you, and all of that. So, agile transformation is very, very hard, it leaves you a lot of scars, it's tough, okay? And usually, if you're facing one of those, probably this looks like a workplace, okay? So, lie down, try not to cry along, okay? Because it's really, really hard, right? It's really frustrating, it's tough. And usually at the very end, so the ultimate goal of all these agile transformations, it's pretty much this, okay? So we have like 90 projects in waterfall and we have one in agile. So we are now an agile company, let's put our job ads, press release, the whole 9 yards, and just because of like one small thing on the ocean of all the projects of the company. And I came to discover that, so I was kind of, so where all this resistance comes from, okay? So this is more or less what all companies look like, okay? So we have like, the guy at the top, we have managers, and we have developers, right? Maybe this is a little bit outdated, so we can actually grab this and put it like this, okay? So now it looks network much cooler, the same thing, right? Exactly the same, right? But now it's kind of, oh no, it's a network, now we are a cool company. And yes, and so we have the CEO, we have managers, and we have developers. And again, the CEO really doesn't care, right? If you deliver the results, the CEO is more than happy, he loves Agile, everything works fine, he signs a check. Developers enjoy Agile too, okay? We obviously have like one or two that they are not that fond of a couple of things, but again, the resistance is not that big. So, we are only left with managers, okay? So yes, so managers are definitely the biggest source of resistance of any Agile transformation. Now I was quite curious, I was puzzled, like, why is that? It doesn't make a lot of sense. Why are managers so against? Obviously not all of them, but why are some managers usually so against this Agile thing? And when I saw this image, kind of, okay, so this makes sense, right? Because when you're not working on Agile, you have false sense of power, right? I run the shots. I do everything in command and control. I can micromanage. I can decide which person is going to do what in my amazing Gantt chart. I run the shots. And now with this Agile thingy, you have like a self-organizing team. Yeah, so where's my power? So when I saw this image, I could actually took the liberty to adapt this a little bit to my talk. And so yes, the power will be ours once Agile is there. Okay, so this could be decided by Golem or any manager. So that's how bad this is. So no wonder that with all this resistance, with all people kind of not being on board with Agile and people resisting the change, that this is usually the outcome, okay? So if you just go on the internet and search for bad Agile, fragile, dark Scrum, crappy Agile, you'll find tons of resources of people complaining, saying this doesn't work, this is terrible, blah, 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 waterfall is amazing, all of that. So you got me wonder, okay, so, but what crappy Agile looks like? Okay, so I went into a quest. So I went back to the manifesto, okay? I went back to the manifesto and to the values. So as you can see, those are the values that I've displayed before, okay? And you have stuff on the left, and you have stuff on the right, okay? So you can see on the left we have individual interactions, working software, customer collaboration, inspiring change, while on the right we have processes and tools, comprehensive documentation, contract negotiation, and following plan, okay? So no wonder, I truly believe that we have like a good side of Agile and the bad or evil side of Agile, okay? So that's where the crappiness is, all the stuff, right? So we won't just be concerned about processes and tools or comprehensive documentation, we just ignore the stuff on the left, you're probably not going to have such an amazing Agile implementation, okay? So I actually brought a couple of examples so that you can actually see if you're living with some sort of crappy Agile implementation or not. So, do your company have a QA team? Like a dedicated QA team? If it does, you're not doing much. It's plain simple, it's plain wrong. QAs, it's a skill, it's a craft, it should be built in the teams, not like in a separate step of your development process. Okay? So that's wrong. Maybe sprint burnout, hopefully everyone knows what the sprint burnout is. So if it looks like this, something's wrong, right? So from the first day of the sprint to the almost last day, nothing is burned, so nothing happens, and all of a sudden everything gets done. So this is a very bad sign, okay? Maybe not on the sprint level, but on the release level, on this example. So we see that something gets burned, okay? So the line gets down, then it kind of gets stable, then goes down, then flattens out, goes down. So this is, and again, another pattern that something is wrong, okay? It should be like a steady line being burned down. Or maybe even your company ignores extreme programming practices. Let's say, for instance, your company thinks that two guys programming is pretty much double the cost, doing the same thing. They're just kind of being ripped off and wasting your money, so you think that pair programming is a waste of time. Okay? Or maybe you don't even have a CI and a CD pipeline. So ask yourself, how long does it take to put one single line of code through your development lifecycle process? The longer it takes, the crappier the agile is, okay? So it should take like minutes or so, not just like days or weeks or whatever. Another one, this one actually is like a favorite of mine. So are you a Jira slave, okay? So instead of having a daily stand-up in front of a whiteboard where you can actually collaborate and discuss what's happening, no. Just have looking everyone on the TV when there is no collaboration whatsoever. And even the retrospectives, everybody with his laptop on the table, just kind of writing on the Confluence page. It should be like that, right? Okay, so life is much better if you just kind of put your laptop away and you start collaborating with like face-to-face, having honest conversations and with decent dynamics, not with Jira, okay? And by the way, this is Jira or any sort of software, okay? So nothing against Jira. Or maybe you have like tons of dependencies between teams in order to get stuff delivered, okay? So you want to put like a button on the screen, but you need like the back-end team to do something, the front-end team to do another thing, and then you have like the operations team to do the release into production. It should work like that, okay? So you should have autonomous teams, and that's what Agile actually works quite well. This guy here, so Dan Pink. So Dan Pink wrote a very interesting book called Drive, The Surprising Truth About What Motivates Us. And he came to the conclusion that the three factors that lead to better performance are autonomy, mastery, and purpose. So if everyone at your company, your teams, they don't feel they have autonomy to get mastery on something and then purpose, you're not doing it right, okay? And mainly because these things are actually about intrinsic motivation. This is like the powerful stuff. It's not about extrinsic stuff like money. It's about, I know what I'm doing here, I have a purpose, I have a goal, and I really like to be here at my workplace, okay? These three factors. And actually you have like a YouTube video of like 11 minutes or so if you want to skip the book. It explains everything. And also very important here, are you afraid of having your velocity drop? Okay, just a couple of questions coming out. Why have my velocity dropped by 20 points? Oh my god, what I'm going to say. Or maybe your sprint is not hitting like the 100% of completeness, okay? Because you commit to something that you can deliver. Or maybe you actually have managers asking you to close the user story because, okay, it's not tested, but let's close this because I really want to close the sprint. Okay, so this doesn't look any safe to me. And actually Google did a couple of studies a while ago, and they went into the research about what a successful Google team looked like. And the number one characteristic of any successful Google team was psychological safety. Okay, so if you kind of live in a company where stuff like this happens, again, you're not doing it well. Or maybe, also very interesting, you don't have a clue what the velocity of the teams are, okay? So you don't even measure that, you just don't have any sort of idea. Or even the worst, maybe you have, but you just kind of have velocity per person. So you're pretty much ignoring all the dynamics of the team, you know, Tuckman, all those stages of performance of the team, you're just kind of ignoring all that, like, okay, so one engineer has 10 points of velocity. That's wrong, okay? It's as bad as comparing velocities between teams. Sorry. Or, also very interesting, maybe some of you actually estimate stuff in time, okay? So you don't believe in story points, that's just bullshit. So I want my hours, I want my days. Or maybe, also very interesting, I faced that once. Yeah, so 1 day of work is 1 point, so we can actually work with story points, okay? Just like 3 story points, 3 days of work. No, that's it. points, what does actually do they mean? Time, complexity, effort, risk. Have you ever heard of no estimate movement? So this is actually a pretty cool movement that was born in Twitter, and actually has a Portuguese guy behind it. It's not the only one. It's called Vasco Duarte. And what the no estimate movement tells us is that there is a better way for us to predict the future, to create a roadmap without having the burden of estimating user stories, okay? Yeah, we have the planning poker, we try to make that a little bit fun, but at the end nobody likes to estimate. So what they believe is that looking into historical data, you can kind of predict the throughput of a team, and then you can create the roadmaps without estimating, okay? So that's actually very powerful stuff. Or, yeah, maybe your team is not even doing DevOps, okay? So they don't do their own releases, they are not supporting their applications in live, they're not doing on-call, this kind of monkeys coding. Okay, that's not what Agile is about, okay? It's about ownership, it's about autonomy. You should have the whole piece when them together. I heard this one also. This is actually one of my favorites, okay? So Agile is about teams, so that's the single unit of Agile. But, and we say that, so we are all about teams, but at the end of the year, our performance review is done at the individual level. So no one cares about teams back then, okay? It's all about you, and who gets a better grade, and who's going to get the biggest raise. It's just plain wrong, okay? And also this is actually one of my favorites. So again, very cool YouTube video. Doesn't take a lot of time. It's called the Resource Utilization Trap. And pretty much what it explains to you is that you should be focusing and be concerned about the flow, okay? So the flow is the holy grail of productivity of a team. It's not about having people busy. It's not about that. No one cares who's busy. It's all about flow and making sure that you know that card, that user story gets from to do to done as fast as possible. Okay? And not about saying, oh, but that developer is not busy. Who cares, right? You could be pairing with someone else. So it's not about making sure that everyone's busy or with tons of work in progress. It's all about focusing on the flow and how fast can we as a team get something from to do to done. Oh, and by the way, this guy on the right is the guy that made the Spotify model quite famous, okay? It's called Eric Deeper. Or also true, okay? So maybe you're, okay, so I'm fully agile on my software development, but the rest of the company is completely waterfall, okay? So even for me to get feedback from my customer, plain simple, I don't get any sort of feedback, okay? So I don't have a clue if what I'm doing is meaningful, it has an impact, what's the return of investment of that? I'm just shipping features just because someone asked me to, and hopefully someone will like it, okay? It's not like that, remember, it's all about the purpose. Also, one that actually uses me quite a lot, okay? So tons of guys that are agile experts, gurus, coaches, whatever you want to call it. And every time you ask him the question, he was always going to answer, it depends. Okay, again. Okay, so how knowledgeable can you be if you just answer it depends? Like my mother can say it depends. So that's not a proper answer. Or someone says, I'm not here to give you answers. Okay, so wow, no shit, Charlotte, so we are in trouble. Okay, so because even on coaching, you really need to understand when you really need to provide an answer, or when you kind of need to coach them to get to the solution. It really depends on the sense of urgency and the situation, okay? So it's not about just kind of being the big fun of Agile. I actually heard this one just once, but it kind of, I say here from forever in my heart, Agile is something that you feel, so this is my personal favorite. This is like, what the hell? These two are quite attached, okay? Fail fast, fail cheap, celebrate failure. So I think this is plain wrong, because it's not about failing, it's about learning. Okay, so learn fast, celebrate learning. It's not about failing itself. Okay, so you're focusing on the wrong thing. It's about what you take off that failure, not the act itself. And also, always interesting to hear, we are agile, so we don't have deadlines. Okay, so stuff gets ready whenever it gets. So to me, all of these are just kind of bullshit sentences. So yeah, so after all of this, no wonder that some folks announced Agile Dev. Okay, so if you actually grab your smartphone and Google it, you'll discover that someone wrote, Agile is dead, long live continuous delivery. Another person wrote, Agile is dead, long live code reviews. And well, I have here the guy, obviously with a very small X, because to me this doesn't make any sort of sense, okay? So Agile can be dead because of this, because if you look to the extreme programming practices, you'll find it all there, okay? So continuous integration, collective code ownership, so all of those kind of things that were killing Agile, they already belong to Agile, okay? So Agile can commit suicide, I guess, okay? But I actually found this too. So that's why the X is kind of bad X. So you have Agile is dead, long live Lean, for sure. Okay, so Lean is also a very interesting thing for us to use. And someone actually wrote, I think it was a prank, but either way, it deserved like a slide moment. Agile is dead, long live Waterfall. So somebody that actually kind of enjoyed Waterfall quite a lot. And these, okay, fair enough. So these are two alternatives to Agile, so it's fine. So why is Agile dead? I believe that so far we completely missed the purpose of it, okay? So not only we mistake Scrum with Agile, okay? And by the way, Scrum we can't write Scrum like that in capital letters, that's just plain silly. And I see that everywhere, it just makes me crazy. And as we saw in the Agile audience, so Scrum is a practice, Agile is a mindset. And the truth is, the majority is just kind of focusing on the process, okay? So I'm just focusing on doing sprints. I don't care about the output. I don't even care about the outcome. I really don't care. It's just like another sprint, another sprint. It shouldn't be like that, okay? So we are just missing the whys. That's my opinion, okay? We are all concerned about the what needs to be done. No one really wants to understand why we are doing sprints or why we are using story plans, okay? So no wonder developers aren't happy, customers aren't happy, products, or the product guys, or the product managers, product owners, all of that aren't happy, stakeholders. We struggle to deliver value to our customers. Usually that's what happens. And let's face it, okay? No C-level understands what the hell are the metrics that we are just kind of sending every week or so to the whole company, okay? And in my opinion, this doesn't make any sort of sense. Because the goal of the manifesto was, we are uncovering better ways of developing software. So why the hell are everybody unhappy, right? Doesn't make sense. And so going back to the State of Agile report, so this is like the last year version, so it is in the 11th. And although this is like very, very tiny letter, so sorry for that, I was completely shocked because when I was reading the report, it says, okay, so how success is measured with Agile projects, wherever that is. Okay? And let's imagine that we have an Agile project, how success is measured. And the number one metric was velocity. Okay? And then it was iteration burn down, the release burn down. I was like, what the hell? How can you measure success with this? And so you go way down the list, and only in 8 you'll find something different. There is customer and user satisfaction, innate condition, wow. Or in 12, business value delivered. These to me are the real metrics, okay? Not velocity, right? Who cares about velocity if you're not delivering any of these? Okay? But don't lose your hope. This year on the 12th State of Agile report, actually, the two metrics went up. So I don't know if actually no one understood the question, but yes. So this year, definitely, almost 50% of everyone that answered to that report says customer and user satisfaction is the number one metric of success of a good Agile project. Okay? So don't lose your hope just yet. And yes, and another thing that I'm actually quite surprised. So think in your company. How many changes have you seen lately on your processes, on your practice, on values and principles, or even your mindset? Maybe it doesn't change a lot, right? And well, if Agile is about continuously improving, why are we so rigid with our Agile practices? No, we only can have 2-week sprints, and you need to start on that day, otherwise we can't do Agile. No, it's all about flexibility. It's about the art of the possible. Try to do the best you can and evolve. Don't just kind of stick to what you know. The magic happens out of the comfort zone, not doing the same thing over and over again. Don't think that you have dogmas because you don't have, right? Everything should be discussed and questioned. This guy here, I don't know, do you guys are familiar with Paulie Perron? Cool, so this guy actually kind of created a framework, I think I can call it a framework, about extreme experimentation, okay? And he created like a couple of very easy steps, like if you search online, it kind of gives like an amazing presentation explanation about, he believes that every sprint or even every week you should experiment something, okay? Try something different, try to continuously improve. Because that's why we are doing sprints, right? And have retrospective, we want to continuously improve. So he launched this popcorn flow for experimentation where he encourages everyone to evolve and to experiment on every single week or sprint. And it's actually something that was like an eye-opener to me. And also, very interesting. Do you believe that actually Scrum, so Scrum, by the way, is like the most adopted practice on the Agile community, okay? It's probably like 90-something% too. Do you believe that Scrum is enough? So I actually brought here this image, which obviously, as you can see, there are a couple of things that are wrong, okay? So we have Donald Trump riding a bike in North Korea, okay? So that's North Korean flag. And obviously that doesn't make a lot of sense, right? So we can change the flag. So now we have like Donald Trump riding a bike on the US, okay? So it makes a little bit more sense. But obviously, as you can see, my Photoshop skills are terrible. So obviously this is not Donald Trump, okay? So just like a regular guy riding a bike. But again, we still have like an issue on this image, okay? If you look closely, you see that this gentleman is riding a bike with training wheels, okay? And in my opinion, if I would map Agile in this situation, to me Agile would be the bike, okay? And Scrum would be the training wheels. So when you're starting your Agile journey, Scrum is a great place to start, okay? It's a very easy, kind of very comprehensive, lightweight framework, okay? It just says, look, a couple of iterations, have these ceremonies, plain simple, okay? They don't even mention story points on the Scrum guide, okay? 16 pages document doesn't tell anything about estimations. But it's kind of the way just to start, okay? So it's like a very good starting point, and then just evolve, you know? Just drop your training wheels and go beyond that, right? Go beyond Scrum. Agile is much more interesting than just Scrum. Although Scrum is definitely the most adopted practice of Agile. Because what I truly believe is at the end of the day, who cares if we are doing sprints if we don't get anything delivered, okay? So people are so concerned about doing the 2-week sprints, no one's concerned about what's coming out of that, okay? The purpose is to deliver software, not to blindly follow any sort of process. Scrum or anything else, okay? Extreme programming, you name it. I'm just kind of picking up on Scrum because Scrum is the most popular one, okay? So again, we are just focusing on that stuff, so we don't get stuff done. And yeah, so this is my favorite part about even us, so we are kind of not so big community, and we have like tons of controversy around this, okay? So this is the first one. So who here is a CSD, CSM, or CSPO? Okay, so some of you have Scrum Alliance certification, so don't be ashamed, it's fine, I have you too. And it was kind of okay money for that, okay? I don't regret it. It was a good way to learn and to start. So let's face it, okay? What does it mean for someone to be a certified Scrum Master? Okay, it means that you didn't fall asleep for 2 days, probably had like your lunch included on the training course, which is pretty cool, at least mine was. It was really good, by the way. Maybe you or your company paid around 1,000 euros, it really depends on discount. You have a very happy Scrum trainer, okay, that's going to get like $3 to $5K for that training. So no wonder that we discussed that a lot, okay? So what's the real point of these certifications? And even the online exam that you do at home, let's face it, if you grab your cat, just throw it on the keyboard, you're going to pass the exam, okay? It's that easy, okay? Even your cat will do it. Or maybe now everybody's talking about scaling, okay? So scaling is like a huge topic now. Everybody's so concerned about scaling. And guess what, right? Like, no, this is like the best framework. No, that one is the framework that works. Everybody's completely miserable working with this. And for instance, I just brought this one, but I could bring any framework, okay? You have like tons of them. But this is probably the most popular one. It's called SAFe. Even the name is shady, right? Because to have something that is called SAFe, like, no, it's safe, you can adopt it. Just go ahead, please. And it's terrible, okay? If you look to this, and for instance, compare it with Scrum, this is so complex, but so complex that I don't see any agility in here, okay? Just plain rigid, with tons of checkpoints and God knows what, and just makes me just with a huge headache just to look into this image, okay? So it's really, really hard. No one is happy with the way that we are studying right now. Also very interesting. So we now created a new movement called Agnostic Agile. Okay? So not only we don't master at all the Agile Manifesto, that we decided to create a new manifesto about being an agnostic Agile, okay? And it's just a mess. You can go online, the intentions are good, but at the very end I think it's the wrong solution for the problem, okay? But again, some stuff that is out there. And this is probably the thing that makes me more sad, okay? You really know that something is dying, at least its essence, as soon as you have, you know, McKinsey, Deloitte, Accenture, Gartner, Harvard Business Review, all talking about Agile. And let's be honest, you know, Agile is becoming a business. The people that really master Agile, the Agile boutiques, you know, like the guy that truly believes in that stuff, won't be allowed to coach or to teach for long because no one ever got fired for choosing IBM. Okay, so if I'm a big company, I want to learn Agile, I'm going to call McKinsey to teach me Agile. And God help that company, okay? And actually, I discovered that IBM actually has some certifications around Agile, okay? So what you see there in that logo in green is Agile Practitioner, IBM Explorer. Wow, okay? That's just amazing, okay? As soon as you know that these guys are coming to the industry, it's good as that. Also, very interesting. I've searched on my LinkedIn, obviously it's not like first connections, but on my full network, I've had more than 21,000 Agile coaches and more than 1 million Scrum Masters, okay? And if I actually go and see some of them, you know, they are probably just Scrum Masters because they took the 2-day course. And you're not a Scrum Master because you're certified by Scrum Alliance, you're a Scrum Master because you actually done it, or you're doing it, hopefully. Not because you just went to 2-day course with Mitch Lacey or somebody else, okay, Carlton Newton, so yes, I'm almost finishing my talk. What I believe is not the goal of Agile. It's not about self-promoting stuff. It's not about having trainers getting rich. Not about bullshit or micromanagement, or it's not dogma or religion, you know, or like a silver bullet is going to solve all your problems at work, at home, everything is solved with Agile. I don't believe in that. I actually believe that the goal of Agile is to have happy customers, to have happy developers, people that are fulfilled in what they are doing. They have purpose, they have the autonomy, they have the motivation to do all of that, okay? So that to me is the main goal. So how can we fix the situation, right? So it's quite a mess right now. The evolution of Agile is not that great. I believe that we should go back, okay? Let's go a couple of years back. And actually this is a pretty cool document, okay? So this has been written in 1980, okay? And if you take a closer look, this says, so Transmission Control Protocol. So this is the RFC for TCP, okay? This is quite cool. And if you go down through this document for this request for comments, you see there, the something there is very interesting. So the author of this RFC regarding TCP and the way the two machines communicate, he said that he believed that we should have a robustness principle. So TCP implementation should follow a general principle of robustness. Be conservative in what you do and be liberal in what you accept from others. Okay? So just thinking about machines. So what I believe is that if you grab on this idea from John Postle, okay, who was one of the fathers of the internet that created this RFC, and if we apply it to individuals and interactions, okay, so the way that we act, the way that we behave, I think that we'll probably succeed doing Agile. Thank you.